Hey, sixth graders, happy Friday. Guess what? This is March 5th, which means we are 1 week away from the end of trimester 2. And some of you are frantically, I think, getting your work in. I like that. I would love for you to do it during the regular time when we sign it. But I appreciate the efforts and the push to do, like one final sign of life. Like, I love that. So those of you that are working hard and getting your work in, excellent job. Keep it up. How about we don't let that happen again? That'd be nice. Stay on top of your work and your life gets less stressful. All right. Today, we're going to do a Kahoot again. This time, I ran out of questions that I could pull from you guys until we do that again. So the fourth expert Kahoot is actually from another world of mine. So these are things, and they're not things I lived, they're things I've learned. So my curiosity drove me to see things. Again, remind you, yesterday was really interesting. I want to point out, as you kind of get to the end of the road here of trimester 2, this right here is an example of 2 different emails. So think about how this one is worded. Good morning, Mr. Slaby. I've completed quite a few missing assignments, so if it's still possible for me to get grades for them, if you could grade them for me whenever you have the time, that would be great. Thank you. Think about how this person asked, right? They kind of owned that they have missing assignments. They were asking very nicely, and they're asking, like, if you can. I really appreciate, as a teacher, being asked that, right? Like, I know a kid doesn't want to ask to have me grade their stuff because their grade is in the toilet and they want it to go up. I understand that's hard. And this is the way you get to me, is you actually, like, ask in that way. So I am super, super happy that the student worded it like this. Now, here's another student. I got all of my missing work done. Can you please grade it? My grade is bad and I want to get a better grade. Okay, again, same place. I love it. I'm a super big fan of the student wording it like this, in the sense that they didn't really think about how to word it, but they were asking, so can you please grade it? But I want to be very clear that this one makes me really want to grade the students, and they've given me room to grade it when I can. This student hasn't done that, right? They've asked kind of short of abruptly. It's not as like nice, I guess. Is like they're not acknowledging that I'm going to have to, like, spend time doing it, and it's going to, I might have to fit it in. So anyway, the way that these 2 different approaches in emails, I want you to think about that, because you might be asking teachers to actually do your, missing work grading. The nicer you ask, the more likely a teacher will do it. I'll be honest with you. I did grade both of these kids' stuff yesterday, but I graded all of this kid's stuff. I didn't get to all of this kid, and this kid came first because of the way they asked. So anyway, remind you that those of you who were in class yesterday, you saw these. I read these to you. I'll read them to those in class today. There's different ways to do this, but I'm seeing a lot of good work from you, and the idea that you are trying different things. So description is a really good way to teach, but you can also use description and sequential on the same topic. And here we have, like, if you want to ever, like, review a book or explain a plot to someone, you're really using description because it's a summary. So to review, our structure number 1 was description, right? It answers the question, what is? Our number 2 structure was sequential. It answers, when did something happen and how did it change, or what are the steps to something. Then yesterday we talked about cause and effect. So this is really answering the question, how did blank affect the world? How did, erasable markers on whiteboards affect the world? It used to be chalk, right? So we've gone through these 3. Today is compare and contrast. Now, this one might be actually a little easier to understand, and I'll tell you why. So let me give you an example. One of my students actually loves WWE. So they could write and explain to me, they could give me information about professional wrestling, the WWE. But how you do it is when you are talking about compare and contrast, this is about explaining one thing by comparing it to something it is not, or it is similar to. So I need 2 things to explain the one thing, okay? So really answers this question, what is it like or not like? So I'm explaining this marker by comparing it to a permanent marker. like this, right? That's how I get you to understand the write-on, wipe-off whiteboard marker. I explain the difference between this and this. So what is it like and what is it not? Now, here's an example of that professional wrestling. Professional wrestling is very different from amateur wrestling. For example, in professional wrestling, the objective or goal of the sport is to pin one's opponent for a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. That is the only way to get an official win, unless there are weird rules that apply to cage matches or surrender matches, all right? But basically, your standard wrestling match is you put a person on their back, they're held there for 3 counts, and that match is over. In amateur wrestling, that's what I did, points are awarded for particular moves and control. There are pins, just like there are in also wrestling, but you don't go 1, 2, 3. It's a count of 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, pin. All right. But there are not most, but a lot of matches in amateur wrestling end in the points. I win 8-6. I lost 10-0 in the state final. I got killed. There are no points in professional wrestling. So I could go on and give you a lot more examples of different kinds of moves. But notice I'm explaining professional wrestling by comparing it to amateur wrestling. That's compare and contrast. Okay. So in your notes, you should be writing structure number 4. Right, in your mini lessons. And I want you to write down the definition: information about one thing presented in a way that compares it to something else it is not or similar to, and answers the question. So make sure you take these notes down in your notes. Here's an example. Here's another one. I'm not going to read it to you, but you could freeze the screen right now. And this is actually comparing these to this face mask, okay? So your turn. Here's what I want you to do today. Your job, just like we've done all week, and I'm going to make it light today because I want you to I want you to go back and do other paragraphs if you can. So your turn today, write a 5 to 7 sentence paragraph comparing or contrasting one of the following. Comparing is when you compare like 2 similar things. Contrast is different. Something that is contrast is like these contrast because this is a dark color and this is a light color. Contrast means different. Comparing often assumes like, oh, they're similar. So number 1, you can write about giving information about math compared to ELA. So give me some information about math by comparing it to ELA class. They're very different. Think about homework, types of lessons you get, and letters versus numbers, right? That's how you could explain math compared to ELA. Number 2 option is compare a favorite book to its movie version. Make sure you explain how the plots are different. So you'd have to have read a book and watched a movie at the same time, all right? Now that's...
Good morning, everyone. Just to let you know, we're covered. Thank you. Thanks to everybody for volunteering. We'll get through the day. Thanks.
So that's one of those things that like you can put in, comparison. They're similar, right? Math and ELA are different. That's contrasting. A story done in movie form and written form, they're similar. Lastly, you could choose your own topic again to compare and contrast. Like this student right here, if they wanted to, could do a 4th structure on this same topic, kind of like I almost modeled it for them. That's up to you. But make sure you're comparing to something similar or really opposite. All right, but still in the same category. So if you're gonna like talk about, you can't compare a mask with a book. All right, they're not in the same category. You'd have to do a mask, or I'm sorry, like a mask and a face shield. They're in the same category. Or a novel and like a brochure. Okay, or actually you can compare a novel and a nonfiction book. So they're both books, right? But they got to be in the same category. All right. Priority 1 today, finish today's paragraph. Okay. Yesterday was one of the best turn-ins I've ever had because I think a lot of kids did it. Priority two, finish Tuesday's paragraph. Work backwards. Priority 3, finish Monday's paragraph. And priority 4, read for fun and fill out the reading log or work on your work that's not quite there. Okay. Everyone, happy Friday. Hope you have a good weekend and email me with questions and we'll talk to you soon.